Barrett goes on to say, Bernie was a huge disappointment. I supported him for years, only for him to abandon his principles. Now he's a caricature of his former self. Agreed. For me, he's the worst one because he recognizes it's a problem. And his answer is, let's just yell at RFK Jr. and bring up onesies. That was insanely stupid. Right? And my response, if it had been me, do you support these onesies? Why do you hate making money so much, Bernie? Are you going to sell your third house on principle? You know, Bernie's people don't have one house. Why won't you give one of your houses away? Oh, you won't. So stop getting mad because somebody wants to buy a onesie. What's wrong with you? Some people don't like your stick. So what? They want to buy a thing that says, I hate the stick. Good. You hate the algae. So what? That's your big issue. So I'm going to become the HHS director, and you care whether or not somebody buys a onesie and they go, they're $27. What do you care how much it costs? You got so much worries about somebody else's pocket. Grab a super chat. This is Friedrich. Friedrich, I can't understand why activists /leftists /Democrats will die on the hill for climate, DEI, LGBTQIA+, coddling criminals, sanctuary for illegals, but not fight for average U.S. citizens. Your thoughts? There's a difference between Democrats and leftists, to be clear. Most people who are on the left, and I mean far left, have actually left the Democratic Party because they are economically left, if that makes any sense. I disagree with their solutions, but to be forward, they actually have them. The Democratic Party does not. For average Americans, average US citizens. The Democratic Party does not listen to them at all, ignores them completely, and doesn't worry about any of the economic leftist issues that they're trying to put into play. Democrats, you're 100% correct. They die on the dumbest hills constantly. That's true. And if you ask most leftists, they would agree with that. They would go, that's what our Democrats. Dumb for us, but not dumb for them. See, here's the issue, Friedrich. This is why they do it. Well, no, because Republicans are ists or phobes, so I can't vote for them. And leftists are clearly crazy because Democrats always say leftists are crazy, so I have to vote for Democrats, even though Democrats are just corporate chills. Right? To be forward, Republicans are corporate chills too. Yes, they are. If to understand why, you have to divvy up leftists from Democrats, understanding between economic leftism versus social leftism. The Democrats don't want that because they don't care about that stuff. They care about their donor base. Literally, the Democrats recently said, we still want the good billionaires. That's what Democrat establishment has. That's their words, not mine. We want the good billionaires. Leftists don't like billionaires at all. At all. So that's a difference.
It has no authority
See that?
to shut programs down or ignore federal law.
So what were your laws and what were you going to shut down? Let me see. Oh, right, nothing.
To give Doge a chokehold on Treasury payments
Chokehold
is
now.
outlandishly dangerous.
You got a
It's like
chokehold.
putting a tiger into a petting zoo and then hoping for the best.
You spend $6 trillion. $6 trillion. And you're proud of that. You know how much money we bring in? 4.9.
Paralyze our economy
Okay?
if we're not careful.
So to be clear, Democrats, you told us that this was the end of the world. You told us that he was going to destroy everything. Then when he won, you went, peaceful transition, let's help him move forward. That's what you told us. But I thought he was the H-man. I thought he was evil. Now he's here. What are you going to say now? Oh, he's evil. It's going to crush everything. Okay. When Trump said he's going to freeze everything, the world was ending. Now this is going to happen. The world's ending. Did the world end yet? It did not. Did the world end last November? It did not. Is the world going to end now? It did not. But what if he's right? What if Elon Musk can walk into this department and crush the entire American economy tomorrow? Let's say he's correct. He's not. But let's say he's correct. Come in, the entire thing's destroyed. If that's true, why didn't you stop him? If that's true, isn't our system shit? Isn't our system an embarrassment and disaster that one guy can walk in and do this and destroy everything? And if he's that bad, what he should be saying is, Congress is going to demand that we issue a warrant for Elon Musk's arrest, right? If he can destroy everything and the world is ending, why aren't you demanding he's arrested? If you had the opportunity to arrest the H-man, funny mustache from Austria, wouldn't you? They're not. This is more of the same insult, fear-mongering, insult, fearmonger. Trump and Elon ignore judges. Not Elon. Elon can't ignore judges. Trump must just give him a blanket pardon like everyone else does. Elon can get arrested. Trump can't. So Trump must protect Elon, and then they must ignore it. That's the issue. We have to keep pushing this forward. And right now, you can see the people are with change. A lot of these people don't actually like Trump. I'll be very forward. You guys know people, some of you are those same people. You don't actually like Trump, but this is working because without it, we got nothing. We have status quo, which is creating nothing but pain for Americans. So, you know what? I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, except when he does crazy stuff like want to take over Gaza. Then I'm gonna get pissed off and I'm gonna yell. And if he responds to it, I'll go back to shutting up again. And that's what you're seeing happen. Mike goes on to say, I understand the larger theme, but illegals and sanctuary cities / states are criminal. They promote lawlessness, and if laws are arbitrary, there are no laws. I think there are two examples of that not being true. One, as I said, is Boston. Boston is a sanctuary city also. When it comes to crime, again, relatively, Boston's crime is down. Boston is a relatively safe city. So I don't think it does that for Boston. That means either Boston had a better plan or Boston took in less migrants. Both are appropriate. New York City should have done one of those two. Either had a better plan or taken in less migrants. The law says you have to or whatever. Well, then find a plan for that, or change the law, or ignore it and take it to court. There are options. If there was a law that the brain dead dung throwers in our assembly here in New York State decided if you're convicted of graffiti at the age of 16 or 17, we're gonna bring back the death penalty, and it's a mandatory death penalty sentence. That's the law. You're someone who now has to enforce this thing. Do we enforce that law? I sure hope not. But it's the law. I don't care. It's a terrible, horrible law. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily equals sanctuary city. What I'm saying is that could say the federal government doesn't have any control over a sanctuary city. If the federal government does its job, it closes the border. But if they get to the border, that's no longer a federal issue. They already screwed up. The feds already screwed up. They let them in the border. They shouldn't have done that. I could buy that argument too. I don't think it's as black and white as you say, is what I'm saying. It's not as black and white. Phil, you just brought some up, which are great. Phil says, who's Kathy Hochul's Joseph Pericoco who do a diamond show for her? Exactly. She has some of those. Cuomo did. Cuomo had people who would do time for him. Cuomo was like a mob boss. I tell you, it's the mob, right? I'm not playing when I say that, right? So Cuomo had guys who go to jail for him. Phil remembers, right? Where's Eric Adams' people? Nobody going to jail for him. I told you this months ago. Eric Adams doesn't understand the hardcore games. That's why he wanted to be mayor. And I said, wait a minute, Larry. He want to be mayor. Can he still be mayor? Yes. Let me repeat this. Even with the issues against Eric Adams, if he does not get removed and Andrew Cuomo does not run, Eric Adams will win again. Yes, that will happen. Larry, that sounds crazy. Nobody wants that job. Why do you want to be the mayor? The mayor of New York City is where your career goes to die. It's where your career goes to die. Why would you want that job? You can't run it. It's notoriously corrupt. Why would you want to do that? Because that's as high as you're going to go? Or because that's where you can grift the most? Or you're ready to end your career and retire? Thank you for being a member. Larry, can you remind me why New York is like these jokers? The number one reason why the vast majority of cities are blue, and then I go to New York specifically. The vast majority of cities are blue because in most cities, New York, more than any other city on the country, is a transient place, meaning people from all over come into this area. When you have that amount of people coming into the city, to where in one building or one area, you have people who've been there for 3 weeks, people who've been there for 30 years. There's no united culture. There's no united rules. So what do? We beg for some form of referee. Not just that, we live on top of each other. And I mean that literally. There's UPS routes in New York City that are one building. That's how New York City is. What's the easiest referee? Government. Government come in, be the referee. We beg for more government. And it is a common problem throughout most cities in America, So that's why New Yorkers keep going left and asking for more government and becoming more left. It's a common thing. That has changed since the lockdowns. The lockdowns changed for two reasons. One, lockdowns made a lot of people who were left think maybe this government thing isn't right. And two, people started leaving cities again after lockdowns. They started moving back into the other areas and being infected by those other areas. So the country has been shifting away from left recently. So I hope that answers your question, at least. Vivek asked a question: should FEMA be ended? Should there be no federal aid? How do you get communities to not rely on federal government and more on local and state governments? The question is a good one, and it's a should now or should in theory. Theoretically, and again, this is theoretically, federal aid is inefficient and shouldn't be a thing. Theoretically. In practice, it still must, to your other point. People get in trouble. People, get hit by hurricanes and fires. They need help. And local communities simply cannot assist them. Why? To your point, we haven't even worked on this at all. It's not a thing. We don't have a way of doing it. It's not a thing. We've completely forgotten how it works, right? And you might go, but Larry, can it ever work? Of course it can. Again, I go back to the concept, but the concept of the Amish. The Amish have a horrible thing. A bunch of houses go on fire. They all get together and rebuild their houses. It can be done. But America isn't anywhere near the Amish. We're just not that group of people, right? I'm not saying we should, but until we have a way of having communities set this up, we kind of have to have a FEMA. Should we fix it? Yes. How do we do that? It's a slow way. And one of the ways to do it, and this has to be a change in the way Americans think, Vivek. It is not a simple thing at all. What we have to work on is the idea of communities having their own form of insurance. Now, what can insurance be? It could be a mutual aid fund, right? It could be any of those things. How do you start that? One of the things you can do is you can have a law, which I talked about when I ran for governor of New York, which was, it's voluntary. If you're happy with your taxes, give money to the government. Now, if I want to, I can give the government $700 and $500 to a charity, a local charity, $20 to a charity, not in my county. Why would that be important, Vivek? Because then local people can start saying, these potholes need to be fixed. Hey, I'm gonna fix them. Guys, I'm gonna start a not-for-profit that fix the potholes. All you guys in this county, give me your $500 and I'll fix all the potholes. But now worry about the workers who are fixing potholes. They'll fix other potholes. Clearly they don't have enough. They'll fix the other potholes. What if they suck, right? What if they're bad at it? You don't give any money next year, do you? What happens if your current pothole fixers don't do it? They get more money. Now, it could be potholes. It could be, this could be an aid station for people who are addicts. It could be whatever your community decides. Again, this is not the perfect plan. It's a beginning. It starts, and people start saying, wait a minute, could this work locally? Yes, it can. Can it work statewide? Yes, it can. It is a long process, but this is how you begin to rebuild community. Speaking of that, Cage John says, I'm from Long Island, but living in Indiana now. I'm a tiny minority of people that don't have a gun. My neighbors are heavily armed. And to be clear, thank you for this, Cage John. You don't need to have a gun. Having a firearm is not a requirement. It is a right. If you want to have one, you should. If you feel unsafe, if you don't like firearms, no worries, don't purchase one. Not required. But why would you stop somebody else? That's my libertarian streak in me. I always say the same thing. If you don't like it, don't do it. You don't trust guns, you feel awkward around them, don't buy them. Okay, don't have them. And tell people if they come to your house, don't bring them to your house because you don't like them. Okay. But why would you stop someone else from having any firearms they want to have? Why would you stop them from defending themselves how you want to defend yourself? That's the issue. So, Cage, and I agree, is, again, you don't have to be pro-gun. And when I talk about this issue in cities, I'm not trying to get the people in cities to love guns. I'm probably not going to get them to do that. But can I get them to simply be, whatever? Yes, and that's okay, right? That is okay. I have no problem with people just being neutral on firearms.
President Putin really liked the idea of cutting way back on nuclear And I think the rest of the world, we would have gotten them to follow.
I'll tell you my plans for the military in general, but conceptually, understand something. We don't need all of these nuclear weapons. No matter what you might think about nuclear weapons, this amount that we all have, unnecessary. Right? It's like Elon's going to cut $2 trillion off of the budget. That'd be amazing, right? But I'll take half a trillion. I'm sorry. First one is what we should have, and the second is the military-industrial complex. What we should have. We do need a military. Of course we do. Now you might go, Larry, why do you have to say that? Because I do have libertarians in this audience, and I'm sure some of them who will be like, who cares? Military's dumb, blah, blah. I know there are libertarians who believe that. I'm not one of them, right? I think we do require military. I would love a world where we would not require one. That would be an amazing, great place to live in. We don't live there. Do we need the military we have now? Not even close. We require nuclear weapons. Of course we do. But we could cut our nuclear weapons, I'm not joking, by 2/3 and still be fine. Mike brings up a point, he says we need to replace our nuclear arsenal as much as it's outdated and thus far less of a deterrent. I'm not saying far less because we have so many of them, right? So to your point, Mike, if we don't update, we require more of them because we do know that many of them will fail. Some of you may not know that. Mike and I are military. If you've been in the military, I've actually dealt with that realm, I will say, of weaponry in the past, as far as I can say. And he is correct. If it gets old and outdated, it may fail. Systems may fail, the people may fail, the weapon systems themselves may fail. So you require more of them if they're outdated. Of course, I don't like it because it gets more people who want to do it. But I get it. I get it. So if we were to update our arsenal, we could cut it by 2/3. I would say we have what's called the nuclear triad, for those who know what that means. That's the 3 types of nuclear weapons that we have. Nuclear submarines, bombers, and the ICBMs. We can dump the bombers completely. Next thing we got to focus on is, without question, our special forces. We have some of the best in the world. We lost a lot of them because of the stupid lockdowns and the jab, stick stuff. The Fauci ouchie. But best in the world, best trained in the world. That is obviously true. More and more of them. A whole lot of special forces. Tons of them. People who can go in and come out. A lot of our enemies, in many cases, aren't states. They're groups. And these special forces, they're the best at going in and taking care of the groups. You got to focus on cyber. Like there's no tomorrow whatsoever. Cyber. And we are not that good at that one. The rest is all optional. A fourth piece, which I use as military, but also, believe it or not, as commercial. And that is, we do have to have a very powerful Navy that can guard the sea lane.